I will write you a song. Come away with me on a bus. Come away where they can't tempt us with their lies. And I wanna walk with you on a cloudy day in fields where the yellow grass grows knee high. So won't you try to come away with me, and we'll kiss on a mountain top. Come away with me, and I'll never stop loving you. So all I ask is for you to come away with me in the night. Come away with me.
And I lifted up my eyes again, and I looked and saw 4 chariots coming from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of bronze. With the first chariot were red horses, and with the second chariot black horses, and with the third chariot white horses, and with the fourth chariot strong speckled horses. So I responded and said to the messenger who was speaking to me, "What are these, my master?" And the messenger answered and said to me, "These are 4 spirits of the heavens, coming forth from presenting themselves before the master of all the earth. The one with the black horses is going out to the land of the north, and the white ones have gone out after them, and the speckled ones have gone out to the land of the south. And the strong ones went out, eager to go, to walk to and fro in the earth. And he said, 'Go walk to and fro in the earth.' So they walked to and fro in the earth. And he called me and spoke to me, saying, See those who go toward the land of the north have given rest to my spirit in the land of the north." And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, "Receive the gift from the exiles, from Heldiah, from Tobi, and Yediah, who have come from Babel. Then you shall go the same day and enter the house of Yoshiah, son of Zephaniah. And you shall take the silver and gold and make a crown and set it on the head of Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, and shall speak to him, saying, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, saying, See, the man whose name is the branch. And from his place he shall branch out, and he shall build the Hakal of Yahuwah. It is he who is going to build the Hakal of Yahuwah. It is he who is going to bear the splendor. And he shall sit and rule on his throne, and shall be a priest on his throne, and the counsel of peace shall be between them both. While the crown is for a remembrance in the Hakal of Yahuwah to Helem, and to Tobi, and to Yediah, and to Hen, son of Zephaniah. And those who are far away shall come and build the Hakal of Yahuwah, and you shall know that Yahuwah of hosts has sent me to you. And this shall be, if you diligently obey the voice of Yahuwah, your mighty Most High. What will be if you diligently obey the voice of Yahuwah? You'll return. Due diligence is returning. Without return, there is no loving commitment. There is no diligence. And in the 4th year of the sovereign Darius, it came to be that the word of Yahuwah came to Zechariah on the 4th of the 9th new moon, Kislev. Now Bethel had sent Sharezer with Rajem Melech and his men to pray before Yahuwah, speaking to the priest who belonged to the house of Yahuwah of hosts, and to the prophet, saying, should I weep in the 5th new moon and fast as I have done for so many years? Then the word of Yahuwah of hosts came to me, saying, speak to all the people of the land, and to the priest, saying, when you have fasted and lamented in the 5th and 7th month all these 70 years, did you truly fast for me? For me? And when you ate and when you drank, was it not for those eating and for those drinking? Are not the words which Yahuwah proclaimed through the former prophets, when Jerusalem and the cities around it were inhabited and in safety, and the south and the low country were inhabited? And the word of Yahuwah came to Zechariah, saying, thus said Yahuwah of hosts, execute true right ruling, show loving commitment and compassion, every one to his brother. Do not oppress the widow or the fatherless, the stranger or the poor, and do not plot evil in your hearts against one another. But they refused to listen, and they shrugged their shoulders and stopped their ears from hearing. And they made their hearts like flint against hearing the Torah and the words which Yahuwah of hosts had sent by his Spirit through the former prophets. Therefore great wrath came from Yahuwah of hosts. And it came to be as he called, and they did not hear, so let them call, but I shall not hear, said Yahuwah of hosts. And I scattered them with a storm wind among all the nations which they had not known, and the land was laid waste behind them, no one passing through or returning, for they made the pleasant land a waste. Well, tonight's the 7th. Tomorrow's the eclipse. And here, by the end of this month, it's going to be Passover. And I pray that anyone who hears this understands what the Most High is getting at by verse 6 and verse 5. When you ate and when you drank, what's that remind you of? The Messiah. The Messiah returned to Jerusalem, and they ate and they drank, and he told them to remember him. Do it in remembrance of him. He said to eat the bread which is his body. He's the Word. And to drink the wine, which represents his blood, which he spilt for his friends in Jerusalem, in order to have Passover with his friends at his Father's house. There's a reason that the cassette tape that Norah Jones just stuck in her car was red. There's a reason that those jogging men's shorts were red, and that you saw 3 of them running backwards at the very end. I know you think that's crazy, but it's not. The conditioners have been writing all these things. The executives of these big record labels and Hollywood execs, they are the ones who decide what goes in a video and what don't. I'm sure Norah Jones didn't have a clue. Well, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't even understand why she stuck the red tape into the cassette player and the man had red shorts, and there was 3 of them by the end of it. First there was 1, then there was 2, then there was 3. That's the third earth. It's talking about coming home. And I hope some of you pick up on that. But more importantly, I hope some of you understand, like I just said, why he said, verse 6, and when you ate and when you drank, was it not for those eating and for those drinking? We're supposed to do it in remembrance. The Most High, the Messiah is the Word. He's the truth. He's the instructions. He's the way. He's the life. He showed us what we have to do. And what he showed us, the world's not picking up on. He showed us that you should be willing to die to come back to Jerusalem and be with your family. That should be all you want to do. You should be willing. That's what the blood represents. It's everything. It's your life. It's your family and your friends, your father. How many people are gonna eat Passover and not even think about returning to Jerusalem? And that's what all this warning is for. Everything you see. I'm going to show you a few things that I found. The earthquake that happened in New Jersey, it happened, the epicenter was in Lebanon, New Jersey. It was a 4.8. Tomorrow's the 8th when this solar eclipse comes. And we've been reading about the 48 for a year now. We've seen so much about the 48. Psalms 48, Isaiah 48, all this stuff. My initials is 48. It happened 42 miles west of New York City in Lebanon. And they said 42 million people felt it. That's not, that's for a reason. They didn't just tell you that just because. They want you to, that if the Most High hadn't showed me about the 42 over a year ago, I mean, he's led us to so much with that number 42. and 48. And no one's picking up on it. And I just watched John Levy's most recent video. It's called The Damn News. And you have to go watch that video. I'm not kidding you. You got to watch it. He's in the first of it, he's showing this dam that they said that the Navajo or Chippewa or something built in Arizona. But after that, in the middle of it, he shows you this movie that he watched, and he tells you about what's going on, and it's about this news channel guy showing, and this movie was made in 1967. Go figure. 42. 6 times 7, 42. But you got to go watch that video of his. In that movie, this news guy shows this guy they're hiring how they've made all the news, and they make it years in advance. And he shows them how they made the moon landing, and they pretend that satellites are up in space, and that nuclear bombs exist, and all this stuff. You have to go watch it, and it's just more proof that is what happens. That's how the world. That's why the image of the beast exists, because they've sold us the Holy Land, and it's all fake, and it can be easily proven to be fake, and the real place can be easily found, but you have to go looking for it. But here not too long ago, we watched the trailer of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, and I want to just show you what I found, and it's going to blow your mind when I show you what I found. Just the trailer before, when I played it before for you, should have blown your mind. But watch this.
Furiosa! We've come too far. Furiosa!
Now, let me let you in on what this movie's really saying. And the world is not going to see this. They're not going to pick up on this. But Furiosa is us, a Yasharal. That represents the daughter of Zion, the bride. This represents the bride, excuse me. Watch what it says. It says that they took her away to another land. And a guy says she comes from a place of abundance. And then she starts talking. She says, when I was a child, I had everything. And my mother was magnificent. And the mother represents Yerushalayim, our place. The place the Most High placed his name. And just watch. And then, oops. So they take Furiosa, but wait till you see what I got to show you. I'll just let this play a few more seconds, and then I'll show you what I found.
As a child, my world was forever changed. My mother was magnificent. Took it all from me.
This is the part right here. When I've watched this trailer a few times, and I wondered who this guy represents. And I was thinking, does he represent the sovereign of Ashur, Satan, or what is it? Who is he representing? Because he's the one that took it all from her, took her mother from her. Sorry about that. My big ass thumbs keeps pushing the buttons. But so I was trying to figure out who he represents, and I found it. Wait till you see who he represents. Watch. That's Chris Hemsworth, okay? He plays Thor in the Avengers. What did they do different to make him look different? Should be obvious. These guys like rubbing it into our face. They rub it in our face. When I seen that white, before I even noticed his nose, I seen that white thing before, and I was like, that kind of reminds me of Jesus, you know? That's what happened. Because of the fake story of Jesus, just like in Second Esdras, he has the vision of the woman, and she's weeping in the field, and she refuses to return to her city because her son died. You remember that? That book was written before the Messiah was here. Now how that's all the proof anyone should need that the Most High exists and that all this is real. These warnings he's been giving us, I mean, and look, it's the proof is everywhere. That guy took Furiosa and her mother. Now watch what the rest of it says.
We have here. She's from a place of abundance. This is our destiny.
My childhood. My mother. I want them back. I want them back. Whatever you have to do. However long it takes. Promise you'll find your way home. Protect the green place.
It's time to take what's rightfully ours. Ready, steady, go! Where are you going? So full of hope. There is no hope.
If you find him, he's mine.
There will always be war, but to get home, Furiosa fought the world.
Remember me.
He said, where were you going? Full of all that hope. There is no hope. Those guys have made it that way for the world. If you can't see that they're the image of the beast, if you can't find your true place of origin to return, there's no hope for you. They've made it that way. You must come out. And you must come back home. You must. So, yes, we got it wrong before. We wine and dined ourselves with Passover and everything, everywhere we wanted to have it, however we wanted to have it. But now that we know the truth, we must come home, and that's what this is all about. It's about coming home. And I'm gonna keep reading here in Zechariah, and you're gonna see even more. But he said right here, he says that are these not the words which Yahuwah proclaimed through the former prophets? What are the words? And I've been telling you, all the prophets is saying the same thing. He says that the prophet said this: execute true right ruling. True right ruling. If you think that Israel is the place and the people and the return, that's not true right ruling. That's not right ruling. Come look at all this mounting evidence that I can prove to you that that's the image of the beast. I can prove to you that it's a lie. It's a place of lies. And it's destroying the earth. Come let me prove to you that Utah and the Wasatch Valley is Jerusalem, and that you must return home there. That's what the Bible, the whole Bible's telling you, from front to back and side to side. The prophets tell you to execute true right ruling, to show loving commitment. Show loving commitment. Newsflash. If you have Passover this year anywhere but Jerusalem, you don't have loving commitment. You're not showing loving commitment. What's it going to take for you to come out here to the true place of your inheritance, our true set apart place? What's it going to take? And if you never do, you weren't committed, lovingly committed. You might have been committed in some things, but if you're not in it through the good and the bad, through sickness and through health, when times are good and times are bad, if you can't show up regardless of what the circumstances are, you weren't lovingly committed. And they tell us to have compassion, everyone to his brother. If this truth isn't being shared with anyone you know, you're not having compassion to anyone. If you're not sharing this message, this should be everything you're talking about right now. You should be warning everyone. You should be here with me, with your feet on this mountain, shouting loudly to return. And it also says, the prophets say, do not oppress the widow or the fatherless. Where have we heard so many times we've read about the widow and the fatherless? He says he is a father to the fatherless and a right ruler to widows in his set apart dwelling. The stranger or the poor. Do not plot evil in your hearts against one another. This is all about returning. That right there, those few verses that I just read, it confirms what I've been telling you about the prophets saying the same thing. They're all telling you that there's an imposter in the time of the end, and that we would realize it, and we would find our true place and come home. That's what they say, front to back. But they refuse to listen. They shrug their shoulders and stop their ears from hearing, because the world just can't fathom actually doing this. Showing loving commitment and returning. No one was passing through or returning. Wake up, McFly. We don't have much more, there's not a lot of time left. And I can prove that to you too. How I can prove that to you is he tells us that no one would know this truth until the latter days. And at the very end, this truth would come out. And once you start to see that and see all this truth, you'll understand why it had to be that way. And the word of Yahuwah of hosts came, saying, thus said Yahuwah of hosts, I shall be jealous for Sion with great jealousy, with great wrath I shall be jealous for her. That's what it's all about, Sion and Jerusalem. Thus said Yahuwah, I shall return to Sion, I shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem shall be called City of the Truth, and the mountain of Yahuwah of hosts, the set apart mountain. Boom. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, again, old men and old women shall dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, each one with his staff in his hand, because of great age. Now, that part right there when he said everyone with the staff in his hand, that reminded me of something, and I thought I would reread this paper from the Montana Historical Society. You see right here? Contributions to the Historical Society of Montana. And this is about the Tahaglunk. But let me read this to you. And given all the information I've given you, you're going to see who the Tahaglunk are, and you're going to understand where your home is. And this is all I can do. This is the best I can do. All I can do is keep hoping, praying, and reading and sharing this truth with you guys until someone says I'm on my way and I see them in person and they're here and we can rejoice together. I can't stop. Although I want to, but there's a lot of death and destruction on the horizon. And I wouldn't be lovingly committed. I wouldn't be a brother if I didn't get on here and try to share this with you. So this page is in page 172 of this book, the Bradley manuscript. At the end of that page, they're talking about the Great Salt Lake. That's why it says, in circumference, the mouth of which is 10 leagues broad, that the lower part of that river is adorned with 6 noble cities. And this was written in the 1700s. Okay? Go look it up. This was in the 1700s. It was adorned with 6 noble cities, surrounded with stone, cemented with fat earth, that the houses of these cities have no roofs, but are open above like a platform as you see them drawn in the map. That's the pit houses, the house that they lowered the paraplegic down into Messiah to heal him. Like the word tells us to build a rail around the roof, come down off the rooftops. There's your first clue as to who we're talking about here. That the people of that country made stuffs, copper axes, and several other manufacturers, with which the Atagami and my other interpreters could not give one to understand as being altogether unacquainted with such things. That unacquainted with such things, the natives, they didn't understand. The people who lived in the 6 noble cities were far more advanced than all the Native Americans that were living out east. They were more advanced. The way they had manufacturing. They had the pit houses. Go look at a pit house. It's not like a teepee. It's how you would want to build one. If you have to build a shelter, you'd want to build it like that. That their government was despotic. Despotic. That means they had been taken prisoners, captives, watch, and lodged in the hands of one great head, to whom the rest paid trembling submission. That the people upon that lake are called Tahaglunk, and are as numerous as the leaves of trees. Such is the expression that the savages use for a hyperbole. The savages, as many as the leaves of the trees. Where have we heard that before? And that was a saying that they used. That the Mozambique, and if you look up that name Mozambique, you see that it's derived from Moses. The Mozambique people supply the cities or towns of the Tahaglunk, watch this, with great numbers of little kalas. Little kalas. You know what little kalas is? Lambs, little goats, little sheep, whatever, little goats. Yeah, watch. Which they take in the above mentioned mountains, and that the Tahaglunk make use of these Kalas for several ends. For they not only eat the flesh, but bring them up to labor and make clothes, boats, etc. of their skins. They added that it was their misfortune to be taken prisoners by the Gnosticaries. Gnosticism comes from Babylon. That great head that took him prisoner, he come from the Great Lakes area. Right where we've seen where the Tower of Babel was, where the ancient map of Babylon, it's the Louis Babel ecological reserve or whatever, up in Montreal. They had been taken prisoners by the Gnosticaries in war, which had lasted for 18 years. But have we heard of any of this? We ain't never heard of none of this. That there was 6 noble cities by the Great Salt Lake, and they had manufacturing, and that they made these pit houses, and that they were at war with this great head from the Great Lakes area, and they were considered the Gnosticaries, and that he took them prisoner. And that these Mozambique people, they sold the Tahaglunk lambs, kept them stocked with lambs. Why do you think? But that they hoped a peace would be speedily concluded, upon which the prisoners would be exchanged, pursuant to the usual customs. I could pump nothing further out of them with relation to their country, commerce, and customs of that remote nation. All they could say was that the great river of that nation runs along westward, and that the salt lake into which it falls is 300 leagues in circumference and 30 in depth, its mouth stretching a great way to the southward. The Baron continues, I would have fain satisfied my curiosity in being an eyewitness of the manners and customs of the Tahaglunk, but that being impracticable, I was forced to be instructed at second hand by these Mozambique slaves, who assured me upon the faith of the savages that the Tahaglunk wear their beards 2 fingers length long. Did any of the natives wear beards? They didn't, did they? Not that I know of. 2 fingers in length, that their garments reach down to their knees, that they cover their heads with a sharp pointed cap. I don't know what that's about. Maybe a turban. That they always wear a long stick or cane in their hands, their staff. That's what it reminded me when we was just reading that in Zechariah. It reminded me of that. Not unlike that what we use in Europe, that they wear a sort of boot upon their legs, which reach up to their knees, that their women never show themselves. Never show themselves. And I'm not going to keep reading it, but there's enough in here. That's what I just read's enough to prove to you who we're talking about here. And you know what the real smoking gun is? How come we ain't never learned about this? And this ain't the only place that talks about this. And that John Levy, he finds these ruins, big walls, blocks. There was stuff here before. And you know why you don't think that? Because of the news, of the history books, and the television screen. The television screen told you that the Most High's land is over there in the Middle East. But that's the synagogue of Satan. And if you don't come out and come home, you're going to die. You have to give your life for the cause. But in giving it, you're going to gain it, though. That's the difference. You're not losing your life. Each one with his staff in his hand because of great age. And the streets of the city shall be filled with boys and girls playing in its streets. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, if it is marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people in these days, and the days he's talking about is the days of coming home. So if it's marvelous in your eyes right now, should it also be marvelous in my eyes, declares Yahuwah of hosts? This is marvelous. This is all he wants you to do. This is what following the Lamb means. It means coming home. It's showing loving commitment, true right ruling, compassion. If you don't share this message, and I'm not talking about sharing my video, but please do make your own video. Look into this and share this message. If you can't do that, you're not lovingly committed. You're not. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, see, I am saving my people from the land of the sunrise and from the land of the sunset. And I shall bring them back, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. And they shall be my people, and I shall be their mighty most high in truth and in righteousness. Let me remind you, he's not going to snatch your ass up. You have to return. And why? Because, I mean, that means you love him and you love the cause, you love the family. This is what it means everything to you. And if you can't return, it didn't mean nothing to you. Bottom line, following the Lamb, it wasn't for you. And that's why only those who do follow the Lamb are going to live, because the Most High's provided everyone with the escape. And he's not asking you really to do anything to earn that escape. The escape is afforded for his children, his family, who want to live. There are those people who see that this world is falling apart and it's going to hell in a handbasket. And they say, I don't want to die. I want to come out of this world. I want to live. And he says, okay, well, if that's the case, all you got to do is come to my place. Come get in this house with me. And when everything gets destroyed, you'll get to live, because you wanted to live. You wanted to be my child. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, let your hands be strong, you who are listening in these days to these words from the mouth of the prophets. Of the day the foundation was laid for the house of Yahuwah of hosts, the Hakal that was to be rebuilt. These days are the days we're in right now. You're hearing this truth. Let your hands be strong. Don't fear. Come home. He'll carry you all the way here. All you have to do is go, though. And yes, it's every step, every move is all about trusting him and faith, to know that you just want to know more about him. You want to know where his set apart place is. You want to know the truth about it. You can't live with the humiliation of it any longer. And you just come to him, to his mountain. For before these days, there was not a wage for a man. Before these days that we're in, there was not a wage for a man. This is more proof that the wage is you coming home. You being blessed coming in and blessed coming out of Jerusalem. That's the wage. Nor a hire for beast, and there was no peace for him who went out or came in. See, and coming out and coming in, it's the set apart, the feast days. Here coming up, all you, a bunch of people, you're going to celebrate Passover. You're going to go in and come out. You're going to show up on that day, but not to his house. So there is no peace, no rest for you. You might think so right now. You might think you're getting a little rest, but in the end, you'll have no rest until you come all the way. Because of his enemies, that guy with the big nose, yeah, those enemies that have stolen from you, lied to you, and they plan to destroy you. Don't let them destroy you. All you got to do is come home to this fantastic, fabulous, most pleasant place and wait for the Most High to show up. That's all you have to do. And you're going to be blessed. And I said, all men, one against another. That's what you're seeing right now. Even the people who want to do others good, you know, maybe there's pastors, ministers out here who truly, they don't want no one's money. They don't want big buildings and the cars and the clothes. They just truly want to help. Maybe there's people out there like that, which I don't know, and I ain't seen any. But even them people, they've been lied to, and they just keep operating on lies without ever finding the truth of coming home. So everyone is against each other right now, and they got no idea. But now I am not as in the former days to the remnant of this people, declares Yahuwah of hosts. Because of the sowing of peace, the vine does give its fruit. The ground does give her increase, and the heavens do give their due. And I shall cause the remnant of this people to inherit all these. The sowing of peace. And, you know, I'm not bragging on myself by any means. I'm just thankful to know this truth, but I've been sowing this truth. And I'm here, I've returned. So, that's what he says. He says, he ain't going to be like the former days, the remnant of the people of hosts, because of the sowing of peace. There will be no wrath for you if you just come home, because now it's being sown to you, the remnant. And it shall be as you were a curse among the nations, O house of Yehuda and the house of Yasharal, so I shall save you, and you shall be a blessing. Do not fear, let your hands be strong. Come, rebuild the Hakal. For thus said Yahuwah of hosts, as I purposed to do evil to you when your fathers provoked me, declares Yahuwah of hosts, and I did not relent, so again in these days I have purposed to do good to Yerushalayim and to the house of Utah. Utah. Do not fear. These are the words you should do. Speak the truth to one another. No more beating around the bush about it. No more lying. No more talking about the image of the beast as it's like it's something good. Open your eyes to it and tell your neighbor. Look to your left and to your right. Tell them both that Israel over there in the land of the Philistines, of Palestine, that is a lie. And that the true place, the Most High placed his name, is in Utah, in the Wasatch Valley. And that those who return there, they come in and come out, they'll be blessed. They are the children of the mighty Most High, Abba Yahuwah. And whoever doesn't, they are not his children. And they probably really want to be. That might be all they want to do is be his child. But if they don't come home, they're not his child. Judge with truth. With truth. Come look at this truth with me. Don't just base and bet the house on your feelings and how you feel about what the television has taught you so far in your life. And right ruling for peace in your gates. In your gates. Wink, wink. And do not plot evil in your heart against another. And do not love a false oath. A false oath. Those people who want to be his child, they really do. And they swear they would lay down their life for their friends, like Messiah. They swear that they're following the Lamb. But if they don't end up in Jerusalem, it was a false oath. For all these I hate, declares Yahuwah. And the word of Yahuwah of hosts came to me, saying, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the fast of the 4th, and the fast of the 5th, and the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th months are to be joy and gladness, and pleasant appointed times for the house of Utah. And they shall love the truth and the peace. That's what it's going to take to get you back to Utah, is love, the truth, and the peace. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, people shall yet come, inhabitants of many cities. See? And the inhabitants of the one go to another. Wink, wink. 2 in the field, 1 taken, 1 left. 2 in the bed, 1 taken, 1 left. 2 on the rooftop, 1 taken, 1 left. Boom. Saying, they'll be saying, let us earnestly go and pray before Yahuwah. Well, that's what I'm saying. And I've came and I'm begging you for your lives, because I love you. Come do the same. Come and pray before Yahuwah and seek Yahuwah of hosts. I myself am going. The only ones that are going to live are going to be someone that's saying, I myself am going. I'm going. Not in a fantasy, in a daydream, not metaphorically speaking. No, my feet are actually going to go. Come away with me. And many peoples and strong nations shall come to seek Yahuwah of hosts in Yerushalayim, and to pray before Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, in those days 10 men from all languages of the nations take hold. Yes, they shall take hold of the edge of the garment of a man, a Yahudi. Would it be a Utalian? I don't know how you would say it, but saying, let us go with you, for we have heard that the Most High is with you. The message of the word of Yahuwah against the land of Hadrach, against the land of Hadrach. And I'm going to keep saying it until you guys figure it out. From front to back, side to side, it's all about the Most High's been telling you, screaming, that he placed his name in Yerushalayim, and that in the end the enemy would lie to you about that place, and they would hide that place and tell you that it's on the other side of the map to destroy you. It's all about the land. That's why the word is against the land of Hadrach. And Damascus, its resting place. Its resting place. That lets you know that the land ain't what you think. When the eye of man and all the tribes of Yasharal are on Yahuwah. When it's truly on Yahuwah, you'll see that was the image of the beast. You'll start looking for your true home. You'll find it. You'll return. Bottom line. And Hamath also borders on it, Sor and Sidon, though they are very wise. For Sor built herself a tower, heaped up silver like the dust and gold like the mud of the streets. That's not literal. That's letting you know that there would be a fake dwelling place, set apart place, holy land, that they were going to lie to you. The silver and the gold, that's us. That's the faith. That's the loving commitment to the cause, to the Most High, to the house. The wage. That's what he's talking about. And the reason he uses the dust and the mud of the streets, that lets you know that this has been covered up. He uses those words, the mud of the streets, all through the word when he's talking about the imposter. See, Yahuwah shall dispossess her. He's talking about Jerusalem, Israel, Tel Aviv, the image of the beast. And he shall strike her power in the sea. In the sea is the people. Yeah, he might do away with her naval command center or whatever. But he's talking about he's going to do away with her, strike her power in the sea. And you've seen that in real time. You've seen that happen. These younger TikTok generation kids, they could care less about that place. They see they're genocidal maniacs and that it's all built on lies. They'll come out. But the old people who are stiff-necked and hard-headed, they're not gonna. They're gonna hold on to the image of the beast as it takes them down into Sheol. And she shall be consumed by fire. Ashkelon sees it and fears. Gaza too. That's Gaza. Writhing in anguish. Is that not happening right now? Yeah. And more's coming. They're letting us know. They're telegraphing that Iran's about to just unload on them over there. It's going to happen. Russia, it's all coming together just like the Most High has told us it would. For her expectation has dried up. Boom. Anyone who's still holding on expectation when it comes to her, you best let go of it right now. There is no expectation except for death. And the sovereign shall perish from Gaza, and Ashkelon shall not be inhabited. The sovereign. That's going to let you know that all those mosques and Islam and all that, it's going to be wiped off the map from Gaza. And a mamzer shall settle in Ashdod. A mamzer. A mixed race, a mongrel race, a mob of half-breeds will settle in Ashdod. Foreigners will occupy. Foreigners, a mixed people. He's letting you know, and there's other places where that word, if you look it up, mamzer, is a villain. A villain shall settle in Ashdod. And this is the real Ashdod. This is talking about when the seed comes home like I've done. So I shall cut off the pride of the Philistines. The pride of the Philistines, that's Israel. That's what it's talking about. And I shall take away his blood from his mouth. Boom. You ain't going to see none of this. You ain't going to come home. You ain't going to be lovingly committed until you quit eating the blood with the meat. If you ain't got enough commitment and faithfulness to just boil your meat if you're going to eat it and eat what he told you to, because it's all his. And that life, that blood, the life is of the animal he put in there. And you just can't devour it because you're hungry and you just like the taste of a good juicy cheeseburger. You got to be committed to this deal. You got to let him remove the blood from your mouth and the abominations from between his teeth. And he shall remain, even he, to our mighty Most High, and he shall be like a leader in Utah, and Ekron like a Jebusite. And I shall encamp around my house, just like he's been telling us. The wine press is being trodden down outside the city, just like he's been telling us. He's going to encamp, and everyone outside the circle is going to die, and anyone inside who come to be a child of the Most High will live. Against an army, against him who passes by and him who returns, so that no oppressor passes through them again. For now I have seen with my eyes. What do you think he's talking about there, guys? Have you seen with your eyes, or are you shutting your ears off? Are you turning that switch off to your ears and refusing to listen and shrugging your shoulders? Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Sion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. See, your sovereign is coming to you. He is righteous and endowed with deliverance to Jerusalem. That's where the deliverance is. Humble and riding on a donkey, a colt, the foal of a donkey. Humble. Not riding on a private jet like Joel Osteen. And I shall cut off the chariot from Ephraim, and the horse from Jerusalem. And the battle bow shall be cut off, and he shall speak peace to the nations, and his rule is from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. I shall cut off the chariot from Ephraim, and the horse from Jerusalem. That means you're going to find out about the truth of Jerusalem, where it really is. And all these religions and Babylon and all that stuff is going to be removed from his set-apart place. Also you, because of the blood of your covenant, boom, the blood of your covenant, I shall send your prisoners out of the pit. That's why I'm pretty sure that the Most High wouldn't have blessed me with this truth and led me here had I not quit eating the blood with the meat. I realized that I had to do that. Otherwise, he would have never drawn me out the way he has. And if you're not seeing this truth, yeah, maybe try abstaining from blood for a while and see what happens. Return to the stronghold, you prisoners of the expectation. Remember, he said in her expectations drying up. Once you get seeing this truth, I mean, like I was just saying, you're probably going to have to put the blood down first, though, because the Most High you ain't going to see it. Once you start seeing it, though, you're going to realize that the whole Bible's been telling you loud and clear. We just didn't see it before. We couldn't grasp it. Return to the stronghold, you prisoners of the expectation. Prisoners of the expectation. Everyone's expecting either rapture, pre-trib, post-trib, whatever, trib, rapture, or just to die and just keep living their life. They go to church, they pay their tithes, all those expectations. They're prisoners to it. The only expectation is life, and the only life is found in the stronghold, the land of the living. Even today I declare that I return double to you. Double. For I shall bend Yehuda for me. I shall fill the bow with Ephraim, and I shall stir up your sons, O Sion, against your sons, O Greece, against Israel, the image of the beast. And I shall make you like the sword of a mighty man. And Yahuwah shall appear for them. And his arrow go forth like lightning. And the master Yahuwah sound with the shofar. And he shall go with whirlwinds from the south. Oh, and that reminds me too. I've broken down the Wizard of Oz. That's what this is about. The Wizard of Oz is about what I'm talking about. That, she's got the ruby red slippers. And she's got to click them 3 times. And what does she say? 3 times. And she says, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. And she goes to Oz, Ashkenazi, Oz, where there's a wizard, so they've been told. But it's just a man behind the curtain pulling some switches, some levers. And her home, she was taken away, Dorothy was, by the whirlwind. What's the whirlwind? That's Baal. Baal worship. Baal is the god of the whirlwind. And he shall go with whirlwinds from the south. From the south. Does that sound familiar? He always says that there's whirlwinds in the south. Tornado Alley. There is none out here. I think there's been 3 in all of recorded history here in Utah. Not many. It's the pleasant place. There's no real storms. I think I've been here for over a year, and I think I've heard lightning like twice. Or thunder, I mean. It's pleasant. Best weather I've ever been into. And I've been to Florida. I've been all over out east. I haven't been to Cali, but I've been to Albuquerque and then back to Texas and all around to Florida. And there's none better than right here. Yeah, it's going to snow, but I like the snow, a little bit of it. But it's not like back where I'm from, Wisconsin and Illinois. It's not the frozen tundra where it just freezes your ass off. And you can drive 100 miles south and be in palm trees. Matter of fact, they got palm trees right here where I'm at. Not a lot, but 120 miles south of here, that's all you see. Another 100 miles from there, you're in Las Vegas. This is the pleasant place, and you have the best of all worlds. You go up north, you got Yellowstone, you got moose and bears and lodges. And then right here, you're in the middle of it. And then on down south, you got cactuses and palm trees. I mean, it's the best. It's the greatest. And even if you just look on the map, when you see that beautiful face over there, you'll see that Jerusalem, Provo area, Salt Lake City area, it's in the bosom. Matter of fact, when I get done reading this, I'm going to show you, because we ain't looked at that in a while. My beautiful face. Not my face, but the face I found in the map. I'll show you. Yahuwah of hosts shall shield them, and they shall devour and trample on sling stones. The key of David. They're going to trample on sling stones. This is all about faith and trusting the Most High and wanting, defending your home and your Most High. And not being a coward. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to be a sinner, a wretch, just like the rest of us. Just like David was. He murdered someone to have sex with his wife, to sleep with his wife, to steal his wife. And that happens. We do all kinds of things. That's why getting home, living, can never be about your achievements, your measurements. This is about the measurements of the Hakal. All you have to do is come home and love it, defend it, cry over it, rejoice over it, with it. And they shall drink, roar as if with wine, and they shall be filled like basins, like the corners of the slaughter place. And Yahuwah, their mighty Most High, shall save them in that day as the flock of his people. The flock of his people, they come home to his land. And if you don't want to, you're not in that. For the stones of a diadem sparkling over his land. And that's funny, that's what I was just saying. And we're going to go look. On the map, you can see the area where Jerusalem is. You can see the Most High built all the land around it for it. And it looks like a gem. For what goodness is his, and what comeliness is his. Grain make the young men thrive, and new wine the maidens. This is the new wine you're hearing right now. That's that new wine. And the grain is to be brought into the storehouse. But if you just look at the face, you can tell me that face is just an accident? That's nothing to see here? Okay. And you can see, I'm sorry, my hearts are in the way, my safe places, but you can see that it's a bosom. And that's like a jewel right there. If you go on Google Earth, it even looks better. And she's looking right over here at it, at the place. Utah. And I've proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that this is the place, and that place over there is the image of the beast, and that if you want to live, you best put them ruby red slippers on, and you best click them 3 times. There's no place like home.